What is Freemasonry? Freemasons proclaim themselves to be the best men chosen, initiated, sworn, and trained to reason, and to do the will of God. But that's a big lie. Freemasonry is a secret cult, founded by the disbanded Knights Templar of Rome, bound by satanic rituals and extreme oaths. It embraces all false religions for a one-world religion. Freemasons were joined by Jesuits and Illuminati when their cults were suppressed. The Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit canon law professor after the Jesuits were suppressed. So the Illuminati is just another name for Jesuits. You see, Knights Templar, Freemasonry, Society of Jesus, Illuminati, are simply conjoined twins in one piece. Freemason obligations include conceal each other's crimes, deliver each other from difficulty, regardless right or wrong, unduly favor Masonry in political action and in business matters, bound by death oath not to make known Masonic secrets, swear to avenge oath breakers unto horrible death. There are 3.5 million Freemasons in the US. 37% of them are also Southern Baptists, who call themselves Christians. Ex-Freemason Charles Finney testified, nearly all the civil offices in the country were in the hands of Freemasons. The press was completely under their control. I do not recollect a magistrate, or a constable, or sheriff in that county that was not at that time a Freemason. These secret societies all have their roots in Rome. They were created to rule the entire world, behind scene, through brainwashing and mind control. They were formed to be a shadow government, a deep state, to rule over all the nations. An 1834 investigation by the Massachusetts legislature found that Freemasonry was a distinct independent government within their own government and beyond the controls of the laws of the land by means of its secrecy. The United States were built on Freemasonry by the Illuminati cult. This is clearly shown on their $1 bill. It says, "In God we trust." But the God of the United States is a trinity of Satan, Lucifer. Rome invokes Lucifer. Very Easter, the Trinity Eye of Lucifer is worshipped upon the altar of 13 original colonies, looted from Native Americans, with bloodshed. Around Satan's altar is the declaration of the beginning of the New World Order, Bacon's New Atlantis, which began in 1776. The total of these inscribed Roman numbers, both the Illuminati and the United States, were founded in 1776. Now remove the first and the two repeated Roman numbers, you will get 666, the number of man, the mark of the beast, the 5 points of an upside down pentagram, in this witchcraft circle, or church, since church means circle, give you the word Mason, the Masonic builders of this satanic New Atlantis, the United States. Though the Illuminati order is invisible to the public, it is well and alive within Jesuits' brainwashing machine. Georgetown University. Inside Georgetown University is a Mortra Center for International Studies, that is, for global control. As stated in its mission, Rome's Society of Jesus is to mind control world leaders, to create the desired international relations, so that the Jesuits may rule over all the earth, in the place of the Jewish Messiah Yeshua. What do Freemasons, Jesuits, and Illuminati do? Evil is the only thing they do. Wickedness such as planning a global stock market crash to make huge, instant fortune, creating COVID-19 and war to mass murder 95% of the world population, so as to inherit the whole earth for themselves. Take a look
This is Bill Ryan from Project Camelot and Project Avalon, and the date is the 16th of February 2010. I'm taking the step of making a video as an interpretation and as a commentary on an audio interview which we did with an important witness. As with many of our witnesses, this person wanted to remain anonymous, but he has agreed that we transcribe the audio. Now, this is a British person, and he worked in the British military for a number of years, and after he retired from the military, he worked in the City of London in a fairly senior position, in a respected position in the City of London. Our source attended a number of meetings with senior Masons, and while many of these were interesting, they were routine by City of London standards. They were discussing financial affairs and so on and so forth. And then in the June 2005, he attended another meeting that he thought was going to be a routine meeting, but actually this was something rather unusual, and he realized it was unusual as soon as he arrived. He says that he felt it was an accident that he was there. He shouldn't really have been there. He didn't know what was happening. And as such, he didn't really participate in the meeting. He was there as a little bit as a fly on the wall. He was just listening to what was happening. And at first he didn't even understand what was being discussed. Now, the people there were Masons. There were senior Masons. They were about 25 or 30 people there, including senior politicians who most people in the UK would recognise by name. The chief of police was there, representatives from the church, representatives from the military, 25 or 30 people. And what they were talking about was a plan that had clearly been made a long time ago, and what they were discussing was they were discussing the implementation of this plan. They were discussing how things were going, whether they were on track or not. The first thing that he heard was they were talking about the fact that Israel didn't look as if it was getting prepared to attack Iran anytime soon. This was a problem. Then they were talking about China and how powerful China was getting, both militarily and financially, very quickly, and that the Japanese weren't doing what they were supposed to do, which was to interfere in some way with the Chinese financial system. They weren't doing that, and this was another problem because China was getting too strong too quickly. Other things that were discussed were, for example, the coming financial crash, the centralization of resources, everything that we saw starting to happen in October 2008. They were planning that and referring to it in their meeting in June 2005. Now, what he described is what the sequence of events was. It starts with Israel attacking Iran. The plan is for either Iran or for China to retaliate after Iran is struck with a nuclear weapon. At that point, there will be a limited nuclear exchange in the Middle East, followed by a ceasefire. He heard this being planned in this meeting. This is being choreographed. It's like the script for a movie. This is exactly what's intended to happen. During the time of this ceasefire, everyone's shocked, everyone's frightened, everyone's really terrified about where this is going to go. There are all kinds of heavy controls over populations everywhere. And then the next thing that happens in this chess game that's being played is that biological weapons are released on China. He heard this being discussed in this meeting. They will release a flu-like virus that will be genetically targeted against the Chinese population. It's racially targeted against the Chinese people. It's designed to spread like wildfire and to knock out a large number of the Chinese people. And these people in this meeting were laughing about this. They said, China will catch a cold. Those were their words. China will catch a cold. And they were laughing about the fact that these biological weapons will wreak havoc among the Chinese population. And after that, then what effectively will be a kind of plague will actually spread right across the world to the West as well. And then, he said, then the real war starts. Something that would be justifiably called the Third World War, with a much more major nuclear exchange. At this point, I asked him, is this just about population reduction? What is this about? Why are they doing this? He said, absolutely it's about population reduction. Absolutely it's about population reduction. So I said, well, in this meeting, did they mention any figures? And he said, yes, they did, 50%. Half the world's population. This is planned as per the Georgia Guidestones, and 50% is a step towards that. Then he said that they have a name for this plan. This project has got a name. And I said, well, what is this name? He said, it is called the Anglo-Saxon Mission. The Anglo-Saxon Mission. Our source suggests that the reason for this whole Third World War scenario is that then the Western governments, with the Chinese out of the way, will be in a state of such totalitarian control of their own population that they will be best equipped to recover and rebuild the new world after a cataclysm. This now is my own speculation right now. It's called the Anglo-Saxon Mission. What that told me was that the reason for the name is because this is a white racist agenda for the inheriting of the new earth. It's a plan that Hitler would be proud of. If they think that a new earth needs to be rebuilt, a new world, think of that little phrase there, if a new world needs to be rebuilt after a cataclysm, they want the Anglo-Saxons to be doing it. They don't want the Chinese to be doing it. They get the Chinese out of the way first, and then the Anglo-Saxons will inherit this new world with the other nations, the Asian nations, the African nations, the South American nations. Presumably, it is assumed that they won't have the resources to be able to handle the situation in any kind of a way that gives them the strength to recover after whatever it is that they think is going to occur.